Shalom, giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Uchakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone of all well. Shalom to Akim, teaching this word around the globe with faith and truth and in sincerity. This is the brother Caleb from the GMS London Forecasters Camp, going back for another lesson to hopefully edify the Lord's elect. As always, I'd like to start off by saying that we are the real Hebrew Israelites. The real Israelites, these so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, West Indians, and West Africans predominantly. However, you are going to get many Israelites that do look like the other nations, because Israel as a people has been scattered amongst all people throughout our various captivities. But if your seed line by your forefathers goes back to the man in the Bible that was named Israel, then you too are an Israelite, no matter what you may look like, because your nationality is determined by the lineage of your forefathers. Okay. So if your fathers go back unto the man named Israel, then you too are an Israelite. Okay. So I want to do a quick lesson here, because I was just doing some study on Numbers, the 5th chapter, and I thought I'd do a quick lesson on this topic. So let's read it. And I'm not sure what I'm going to call this lesson. Maybe the lesson will be called something to the effect of, would you pass this test? Because the topic I'm going to talk about is adultery, and adultery is very rampant in this society. Now, if you look at Esau's interpretation of adultery, he basically puts it as, if a married person has a sexual relationship with anybody other than the person that they are married to. But that's not actually the true definition of adultery, because according to the Bible, a man can have multiple wives. So long as the woman that the man takes is a virgin, that man can take as many wives as he wishes. For example, let's use Abraham as an example. Abraham's wife was Sarah, but he took Hagar, his bondmaid, and slept with her. Was Abraham doing something wrong? No, because Abraham was allowed to have multiple wives. Later on in his life, I believe Abraham was married to Keturah, if I'm remembering that correctly. Was Abraham going off? No, because as I said, a man can have multiple wives, but however, a woman is only allowed to have one husband. Yeah. So basically, let's put it this way: if a woman has a husband, any other man that she has a sexual relationship with, she's committing adultery. Now, the way a man commits adultery is by having a sexual relationship with a woman who is already married unto another man. That's how adultery works. I'll give another good example. If you look at Jacob wanted to marry Rachel, but he was given Leah first, and then he worked another 7 years and was given Rachel to wed. So Jacob had 2 wives. Was he going off? No, because that's according to the scriptures. A man can have many wives, but a woman can only have one husband until that man dies. When that man dies, the woman is released from her bond to the man, and she's allowed to remarry. Yeah, but so long as her husband is alive, she's supposed to be bound unto the husband. Given going back to Genesis, the 3rd chapter. Let me just get that for edification's sake. Genesis, the 3rd chapter. What about 12? Yeah. There we go. So, Genesis 3:15. And I'll put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed, and it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. And unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception, and in sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband. Doesn't say husbands, it says husband, and he shall rule over thee. Yeah? It's jumping back to Numbers, the 5th chapter. Here we go. So let's get into the topic now, because as I said, the question, which is a rhetorical question, is would you be able to pass this test? And this question I would present to many women who are out there living their life in the society today, a lot of women would fail this test. So what is the test? Let's read it. Numbers 5 verse 11, and Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, If any man's wife go aside and commit a trespass against him, and a man lie with her carnally, and it be hid from the eyes of her husband, and be kept close, and she be defiled, and there be no witness against her, neither she be taken with the manner, and the spirit of jealousy come upon him, and he be jealous of his wife, and she be defiled, or the spirit of jealousy come upon him, and he be jealous of his wife, and she be not defiled, then shall the man bring the wife unto the priest, and he shall bring her offering for her, the 10th part of an ephah of barley meal. He shall pour no oil upon it, nor put frankincense thereon, for it is an offering of jealousy, an offering of memorial, bringing iniquity into remembrance. And the priest shall bring her near, and set her before Yahweh. And the priest shall take the holy water in an earthen vessel, and of the dust that is in the floor of the tabernacle, the priest shall take and put it into the water. And the priest shall set the woman before Yahweh, and uncover the woman's head, and put the offering of memorial in her hands, which is the jealousy offering. And the priest shall have in his hand the bitter water that causeth the curse. And the priest shall charge her by an oath, and say unto the woman, If no man have lain with thee, and if thou hast not gone aside to uncleanness with another instead of thy husband, be thou free from this bitter water that causeth the curse. But if thou hast gone aside to another instead of thy husband, and if thou be defiled, and some man have lain with thee beside thine husband, then the priest shall charge the woman with an oath of cursing, and the priest shall say unto the woman, that Yahweh make thee a curse and an oath among thy people, when the Yahweh doth make thy thigh to rot and thy belly to swell. So essentially what would happen is, if the woman drank the water and she was guilty, if she drank the bitter water and she was guilty of the sin of committing adultery, which is lying carnally with another man other than her husband, then the bitter water would cause her thigh to rot and her belly to swell, meaning it would be made evident that she'd played a harlot. Okay? Verse 22, And this water that causeth the curse shall go into thy bowels, and make thy belly to swell, and thy thigh to rot, and the woman shall say, Amen, Amen, meaning so be true. And the priest shall write these curses in a book, and he shall blot them out with the bitter water. And he shall cause the woman to drink the bitter water that causeth the curse, and the water that causeth the curse shall enter into her and become bitter. And the priest shall take the jealousy offering out of the woman's hand, and shall wave the offering before Yahweh, and offer it upon the altar. And the priest shall take a handful of the offering, even the memorial thereof, and burn it upon the altar, and afterward shall cause the woman to drink the water. And when ye have made her to drink the water, then it shall come to pass that if she be defiled, and have done this trespass against her husband, that the water that causeth the curse shall enter into her, and become bitter, and her belly shall swell, and her thigh shall rot, and the woman shall be a curse among her people. And if the woman be not defiled, but be clean, then she shall be free, and shall conceive seed. This is the law of jealousness This is the law of jealousies, when a wife goes aside to another instead of her husband, and is defiled, or when the spirit of jealousy cometh upon him, and he be jealous over his wife, and shall set the woman before Yahweh, and the priest shall execute upon her all this law. Then shall the man be guiltless from iniquity, and the woman shall bear her iniquity. So, there you have it. This is how it's going to go down in the kingdom of heaven. But in the kingdom of heaven, we're not going to have adultery amongst our people, because we're going to have new bodies, which we're going to be free from sin. So all Israel shall be righteous in the kingdom of heaven. However, these laws are still going to be instituted against the other nations. You know what I'm saying? So, because they're going to be forced to keep our laws, because they're going to be subservient to us, because we're going to be in all the positions of authority. Israel's going to rule. Basically, it's going to be Yahweh then Yahushua, then King David, and the 12 apostles, then the 144,000, and then the rest of the nation of Israel, and all the other nations are going to be under us. So therefore, they're going to have to keep our laws, statutes, and commandments. But in this society, anything goes. You got that saying, make love, not war. All that bullshit, people are just running around doing all kind of lawlessness and thinking there's no consequences for their actions. Well, there is. I'm just going to close out on this one quickly. James chapter 4 verse 4. It says, Ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with the Most High? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of the Most High. So basically, this is a sinful and adulterous generation. This is why I posed the question rhetorically, would you be able to pass this test? And just speaking from my own experience, I know that a lot of women that I've met would fail this test miserably, of drinking a bit of water and it not causing their belly to swell and their thighs to rot, because these women have dealt with multiple men and they think it's okay. They think there's no reproach for it, because if you call out a woman for a wickedness now, you're seen as the villain. You're seen as the one who's sexist or whatever like that. But that's not the case. These women, the scriptures say, thus is the way of a wicked woman. She eateth and wipeth her mouth, and saith, I have done no wickedness. That's what most of these women are about in the society today. But I don't need to make this lesson too long. I've made the point. So just a quick little hit there. With that, giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem HaKadosh, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone of all well, and shalom to Arkim, teaching this word with faith and truth and in sincerity. And until the next lesson, I'll dwell in, I say shalom, wa abad babal, Kwame Shawala.